Greetings, family. Welcome to Pan-Afrikan Tech Decoded with Brother Dulani. In this episode, we're going to touch upon some effective use of technology in the African world. I am going to present to you a thing called GIS, Geographic Information System. This is where we are using technology now to make better decisions, because I believe that technology is essential in how we move forward, in how we collect data, how we manage data, how we use data, and how we make decisions. And this presentation is about geographic information system. It is something that we all should know about. And if you have not heard about it, you're going to hear about it here first. And I'm going to introduce you to this wonderful world of geographic information system. We call it the GIS system. Many governments are using the system. Many governments are in the process of using the system. I believe in the Pan-African world, we have to get on board and we have to get it right, because geographic information sovereignty is vital. This have implications on many levels. It have implication on the societal level. It have implication on the governmental level, and it have implication on the military level. So we're going to go in to see how geographic information system is where we're using map, we're using graphical representation, digital representation on a map to layer our information about our society, and how this information can be used to make better decision for us, better decision as on an individual level, on a family level, a community level, and even on a governmental level. So now we're going to look at how do we use GIS to protect ourselves, and how we use GIS system to prosper as a society. So we're looking at how can we map the Caribbean and Africa for prosperity, for growth. We're going to go right into it and see how is that possible, and how do we get a chance to look at the overall picture that's coming out of our country. What do we have available to us that we can look at as a country and to make better decision? So we're going to look at what is a GIS system, and we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at how do we go about mapping the assets within our society, all the variables that leads to a productive society. Let's look at it and how we're going to map it. We're going to look at the people, the demographics, the logistics, and how within in disaster, how we can prepare ourselves. Also, we're going to look at the economic implications of the GIS system, how we can use it as a tool for decision making in how we plan our economy, and also we're going to look at it from a Sankofa perspective, from an African perspective, how we look at it as a digital griot or digital Jele, because the word griot is actually not an African word. The African word for griot is Jele. So sometimes we have to reclaim our culture and use the right language in order to explain things. So a GIS is similar to a digital Jele, because a digital Jele know the history of our people, know where the rivers are, know where particular type of trees and particular type of animal dwell, knows where the ancestors are buried. The Jele would know who lineage goes back to where and what community, know where the water wells are located. So the Jele will be collected information for centuries, for generation, and passing it on to the next generation. But with this GIS system, we can now collect this information digitally, and we'll be able to map our environment, and we can pass on this information to our community leaders and to our government and to future generation to make better decisions. So what are the three elements that makes up a GIS system? You need data. That's one. You need a map. Where? So you need to understand where everything is located within a country. And then you need to integrate it all into an analysis to make decision. So the GIS is represented in layers of data. So if you look up here on the top layer here, you will have like the street information, which is the map, which would you normally use when you got a sat nav and you can navigate around. You know where all the roads and the towns are located. Now, if you layer that with the buildings, and even some maps now have what you call the buildings are represented. You can, as you drive along, you can actually see the buildings and so forth. But a GIS system will be collecting information about that community. Where is the church? Where is the hospital? Where is the factories? Where are the homes? And actually embed the information about all those buildings, the schematics, the architecture for those buildings is also embedded. Also, then you will go to the next level in that community. You will also now get the geological information about the earth, what is under the earth. You can see what type of rocks and what the layers of the rocks are, how deep the rocks are. And then you can also find out the water table and the water levels. And you can see all of this information would be graphically displayed on the map. Then on top of that, you would know where all of the vegetations are and where the animals, if there are animals that are being raised in the community, if there are chicken coop, if there are pig farms, if there are goats of significant quantities, you can also include that in the representation on the map. In the layering of the data, you can have all this information there. So, and then you combine all this information together, then you will have a graphical or geographic information system that can tell you a lot about a community so you can make decisions. So you have layering of wisdom where you can see you got the streets, then you got the home, the buildings and the settlement, where our people live and work and gather. You can have all that information digitally on the map. Then you will have the geography, the elevation, the terrain, the topography of the area. All of that will be layered on the map itself, and you can actually graphically layer this information, and all these variables will be available to you to use to make decision about, if you're going to open a business, where would you put that business? If you're going to build a hotel, where would you put that hotel? If you're going to build homes, which part in that particular geography or the region would be best suitable for you to put down a building? And also, if you're building a school, a hospital, where are the people? Where are the demographics of the people located? So with all this information available, and then if you put within that mix, you put the AI will be monitoring and gathering this information. You have a serious combination as you move forward. So the GIS system is practically just collecting all the data and graphically graphically representing it to you so you can interact with it in real time. So you can have what is the information on the population. You can know what the weather pattern is in a particular area, what the rainfall, what is the water table, what is the aqueduct under the earth, how much water is in it, what's the level of it, what type of soil, what type of minerals, what type of raw material that's under the earth. So once you have all this information, then you can be able to analyze it. You can analyze this information and you can find out where, if there is a flood, where the flood is most likely to hit. If I'm going to build a building, where am I most safely can build a building? Where can I safely build a particular structure for a particular purpose? And this is high level stuff. And I think this is the kind of stuff that the Jamaican government will be getting involved in, and are putting together this type of GIS system at the moment, especially after the hurricane in Jamaica. I don't think there was a GIS system in place, but now, because of the hurricane, and they see how effective it is to have information and to be able to respond and move resources even prior to a disaster, so you can be better positioned to respond after the disaster has hit your country. So it is that type of information will be available to us, and we can layer that information. We can represent it using, when we putting together our GIS system, we can style it and texture it and culture it and present that information that is as pleasing to us as possible. So let's move along. And right now, the mapping of you know nations and communities is a big industry. I think it's around the revenue generated from GIS market, according to some statistics, is at $25 billion by 2030 for those who are involved in this type of providing equipment and technology to assist in creating this type of mapping of a particular region or country. Is a significant growth and potential for making millions and billions of dollars, especially for major corporations, because you need a lot of resources to bring it out. Now, who are the kind of people that a GIS system can will be most helpful and impactful for? So a hydraulics who's dealing with hydroelectric or any type of power from the environment, whether it be wind, whether it be from water stream, waterfalls, in the GIS system would be very important to you. If you're a geologist and you are into finding out what is under the earth, what is the level of rocks, how deep is the different layers of rocks under the earth, geologist is very important. Security and defense and intelligence analysis, like if you're into security and securing your coastal line, securing your country, also the air, the land, and the sea, you would definitely need to have a GIS system in place so you can have situational awareness of your environment and your security condition. Also, a geophysicist, those who study in the movements of the earth, and also earthquakes and all of stuff phenomenon. A GIS system is very important, because once you understand how the plates are situated under the earth, and once you understand how the rocks are connected, when one hit one, it's a domino effect. You can see and know the extent to which the damage will be, so you can better prepare and position yourself to deal with the aftermath of a disaster such as earthquake, or even tsunami, a storm, a hurricane, so you can best position yourself. A physical scientist, as we say, that goes without saying, those who understand the movement of physical objects, you will definitely need to have some type of GIS system in place. Surveying and mapping technician, those who are into mapping, the cartographies, cartographers, geographers, topographies, those who are into surveying of land, surveying of communities, they would definitely benefit tremendously from a GIS system. Um, Scientists, civil engineer, wildlife biologists who needs to have an understanding of what the wildlife are, where are the different type of animals in a particular region, and you can actually use the GIS system to collect the data of even the patterns of where the birds are flying, are coming in, migrating in and out. A GIS system can allow you to understand the pattern, the timing of the migration, and best prepare your system. For instance, if you got a wind farm, as they would say, a windmill farm, and you position your windmill farm in a particular zone, and every year birds are migrating to that area. If you're the wind farm, if they are moving, there's a significant probability that you could be killing birds or damaging birds. So with the GIS system, when you know when the migration pattern will take place, you can turn off the wind farm temporarily during that migration so the birds can move through without any damage. Butterflies also moves and other animals also move by air. And so you can interact with the environment by having the system in place. Also, the biodiversity of a region or a country can all be represented on a GIS system, so we know where to plan, where to move, and how to avoid damaging certain species. So this technology is beneficial for almost all the environmental planners and those who are involved in governmental planning and decision making. So we see the GIS system is very important to any society as we move forward. Now, a GIS system can also allow us to see the wealth that exists within our country. We have heritage sites, community centers, the markets. We can know where our farmers are located, the yam farmers, the orange farmers, the mango farming. So once we can have a clear idea, and the beauty of it is that it will be at the tip of our fingers. We'll be able to access this information. Where are the mangoes and the varieties of mangoes are growing across the island? And some, obviously, this data will have to be collected. Many of us know informally, boy, them have some good long mango in Portland. Them have some good mango down in some East Indian down in Clarendon, or them have some good Julie mango for Westmoreland. So you know many of us have this walking knowledge. We are indeed we call a community Jele, which they call Griot. We know because this information been passed on to us. But now with this data and digital technology, we can make sure we customize this information and have it available to anyone. So if you want to hunt some Julie mango, you just type in Julie mango and it will give you a graphical representation across the island where the most Julie mango located, which parish have the most, which part of the parish, and sometimes it tell you who own the land where the Julie mango depend. And all that will be represented on the map. You know what I'm saying? And you can imagine, you can integrate this on your own map in your car, or up on your phone, or anywhere you go. So you can go hunt down the best Julie mango, or you can go hunt down the best East Indian, and so forth. So these are some of the practical application of it. So we can have a database of our cultural, environmental, and social assets in the country. So, in terms of the economic asset, where's all our markets? Because almost every town in Jamaica have a market. So you have all those things represented, all the environmental play, where are the minerals and current cultural heritage site, everything will be represented in this GIS system as we move along. So we have to find a way. And what does it require? What does it require to put together a GIS system? And this is where you see them spending the $25 billion coming from, It's from the hardware, the software, the data, the methodology, and the people. These are the elements needed to create a GIS system. You need a computerized system. You need some massive server, a lot of processing power, a lot of storage data, and security. Some of the information collected by the GIS system will be private information, will be national security information, and you don't want that to get out into the public or get into the hands of the wrong people. So some of that information will be behind a firewall. But then you have the public information that everybody kind of know. You know where the market them there. You know where the mango tree them there. You know where the breadfruit tree them there. You know where the coconut tree them there. You know where most of the things them there. But now we can represent all this in a graphical way, in a map where you can all see it. And we can graphically represent where these things are, the quantity that exists, the abundance that exists. And now with sensor technology, certain information, we can collect it in real time. So we can embed sensors in different fields. Like, for instance, you can do optical sensors to collect information and pepper, like Scotch bonnet field them and the amount of scallion and time, and you can actually get information on how they're doing in real time by putting in the infrastructure in place in these places to collect the data. See, farmers can also participate in collecting the data on the farm so the nation can see how their farm are developing, how much in the yield, if there's, how much banana produce and how much yam are grow and on. We can get a picture of what's going on, but the people would have to play a part in all of this to make sure that this system in place. And then the software now is where we process this data, is where we have a computerized system that can process the data to make it available to all of us to look at. So the data is vital, collecting the data. Sensors, you got motion sensors, you got sensors that can detect different things in the environment, and you got sensors that can optically look into an environment and read what is in the environment. Sensors that can even take picture of the crop and know how much yield that crop have. See it and can tell the amount of space is covered by planting sensors around the area. You can get a lot of data from embedding sensors and connecting those sensors to the internet and to the system, to the GIS system, and the public version, certain information can be available to the public. And then obviously the methods is what we will decide what is going to be made public, what will be made private, and some of it will be proprietary, where people can sell it for vital information. So these are just the range, but you will need to have a system in place. So you need to have mapping. You need to make sure you can map out all of the different, the cultural information, the environmental information, the economic assets. You want to map all of that. You want to make sure that we prioritize certain communities that is being left behind. Because sometimes, we're moving so fast with all this planning, we neglect people, see it. So we don't want to reduce waste, we want to reduce hunger because we want to map the agriculture. We spoke about, mapping the food and make sure that we can see how much food that's produced in our country. We can also map the water system, map the electricity system, and map the healthcare system to make sure we know how much of the healthcare capacity we have and how many people are being sick. We can collect all this data, how much people are catch flu or any disease breakout, and we can have people can add information to the system, especially social and demographic information about a community. We can have people can submit data to the GIS system so we can keep it updated, not just with sensors, but also with people doing the actual submitting and updating, and we can have administrator to the system that will approve submission based on the accuracy and based on how the information has been collected. Photograph, audio, visual information, video information, all those things can be uploaded to the system and available to everyone. So, and this will help us with logistics. So when things happen, we know when to move, where the damages are, and how to overcome it. See, so yes, just want us to keep in mind. So we talk about knowing our people, what I'm saying? We have to use all kind of sensors to get a clear idea of what's going on in our country. We want demographics information, land tenure, who own the land, and we want to make sure every generation is protected. So we know all the family them we own all of the land. So when the next generation come along, we know who own what. So this we can reduce corruption, reduce people getting robbed, people land get take away. We got to stop all of them things there. This will help us to create this thing. And we can even go further and put all this GIS information on a blockchain system where no one can come and alter the information in the future. You know what I'm saying? So this has become immutable and it's decentralized where every community will have control of feed them data and how them submit them data to the national system where everybody have access to. So we're going to use space and the sky. We're going to use plane to fly over different areas and collect aerial photography. Aerial sensors can sense things. We can use satellite. We can use air balloon. We can use all kind of things to be able to track the data of the land, look at the vegetation health, look at the water bodies, and we can look at a lot of information from using sensors. Optical sensors is one that use using imagery, photographic imagery and video imagery of the particular land. And then you have the ground sensors as well, and then you pair those two, the ground sensors on the ground, videos on the air and videos on the ground, photos in the air, photos on the ground, and you merge those together. So on the ground you're going to have Internet of Things station. You can have a lot of like when you hear them talk about smart city and all them things which coming on board. You're gonna have smart agricultural area, smart farm, where even in the soil, you have sensors in the soil to gauge where the flood, the water, how much water is in the soil, what is the heat, what is the temperature of the soil, you know what I mean? How is things happening over time? You can also detect the insects, you can also detect um different type of vegetation under the earth by using sensors. So we have to use all these things available to us. And then we also have the human dimension. So human sensors, even with our phone, we can collect a lot of information. If you create the app to interact with the GIS system, you can use it to collect data. See it, and then you have the AI can assist in helping us with the collection of the data, processing the data in real time, and get it set up to put onto the system where all of us can access it. So this is important in terms of making our community can thrive. We make better decisions for everyone, and everybody can benefit from technology, not just a handful of people. And this is all me as a Pan-Africanist, these are the kind of way me want to see technology used to benefit all of us. See it. We're not just gonna have technology for the purpose of having technology for brag and boast. We want technology can solve problem and make better decision. See it. We want to visualize where our young people are concentrated. Where do they play? Where do they hang out? You know what I mean? Where are they located? See, so we can plan better, and we can also build our schools and build, job centers and community centers where our young populations are. So if there's a particular region where you say, boy, they really are breed up a lot of people, a lot of young people are come up in that area there, so they might need a new school, or they need to expand that school. So we keep track of the demographics. And I know government always do census anyway. I think most countries, every 10 years, they do a census where people go around and collect information and data. Now them using phone for call people for collect data. So these are some of the information that will be added to the GIS system so we can get an idea of how the population is growing, how much elderly we have, how many women, how many men, how many old, how many young, and all of the age in between. So we can be able to better protect our elderly, protect our children, and plan for them. And as we mentioned, digitalize the land ownership. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that land ownership can be put on the blockchain as well. With this technology on the blockchain, with land ownership on the blockchain in the form of NFT, which is non-fungible token, we can give everyone a digital certificate for your land ownership. And with the GIS system, the actual demarcation of the land will all be digitally represented, and we all can go and look on the map and know exactly where my boundary is, your boundary is, everybody's boundary is. Everybody can see who own which land, and also we're making even valuation of land so we can know how much the land value. These are some of the information that will become to the public. You know what I'm saying? So also in disaster preparedness, we all saw what happened in the Caribbean. We saw what happened in Jamaica last year when Hurricane Melissa hit. We want to have an early warning system. When we have our sensors in place, we have our GIS system in place where we know where the storm will hit, and we can have all these different probabilities. And based on all these different scenarios, we can begin to move our own resources to prepare for the hit, prepare for the impact, and prepare for the aftermath. So I'm saying, so these are some of the things that the GIS system can do. An early warning system in place, community preparedness, infrastructure resilience, and also we have ecosystem solution. So if we notice based on our survey of a particular region, we notice there's a lot of soil erosion taking place in a particular area. We go in now and we starting to reforest the place. We start to plant a lot of trees, plant a lot of grass that can hold the soil down to make that area started to reforest now to protect it from future disaster. That's how we go about it. But we need to have this information available to us. We have to be ready before the storm hit. You know what I'm saying? So when real emergency hit, we can sit back and we can prepare and we can begin to adapt to the different climate changes as they happen. GIS system will be essential as we move forward. I don't think the Caribbean can continue to function without an effective GIS system in each country and for the Caribbean as a whole, working together, integrating the GIS mapping of the Caribbean. And into another extent, Africa need to do the same. African countries need to employ this kind of technology, especially those that are of coastal lines that may be affected by flooding or either earthquake. So, we have to look at the economic implications of it. You know what I mean? We have to have an economic strategy around developing it, because with the GIS system, you can plan your economy better. You know what I'm saying? You can build the right infrastructure in the right area, because with the right geology, you know where the water is going to flow. You know where the earthquake fault line is going to be. You know where certain things, if there's a drought, where it most likely to hit. You can, if there's flooding, you know what the situation where the water may most likely to flow. And once you know these things, you can build roads, better roads. You can invest in where to put your power grid, where best to put your switches and your boxes that can your data boxes that you need to put in different location. You want to strategically place them where they can serve as many people as possible, and also is in a secure spot. So when disaster hit, those type of infrastructure and equipment do not get damaged in the case of a disaster. Also, micro targeting, where you can identify where a high level of poverty. So when you start to collecting social data, you start to realize that there are certain population in a society that or country that is left behind, especially after enslavement and colonialism and neo-colonialism. A lot of people are moving forward, but many are getting left behind. A lot of the elderly, a lot of youth, them are growing up now, and them left out. So when you identify, say, boy, there's high level of poverty in a particular area, we can begin to take steps now to go into that area now, to build the type of training centers, to create the kind of jobs now that we give the youth them something to do, particularly right now, plumbing, electrician, bricklayers, steel workers who can do steel bending and shaping. Them the work there are going to be high demand going forward because no, the AI can't replace them the work there yet. We don't have the robotics them ready for deploy in the community yet for do them work there. A man have to do them work there. Driving heavy equipment, them the work there, needed to be done by us, human. And we have to, make sure we continue to invest in those things. So there are plenty of tools out there, that we can use to build our GIS system. There's one called QGIS, which is the undisputed king of the open AI, open source GIS system. It's a professional grade, it's free, and it supports custom patterns. So you can actually customize it to whatever your country colors is. Like Jamaica can use them, the black and the yellow. And a really yellow, gold and green. So black, gold, and green can be used to customize it. So the app kind of look, like friendly like us. And then in Ghana, they can use the Kente. In other countries, they can use for them color flag or Kenya colors. So you just customize it to suit you. There's one called the grass. It's a veteran tool for advanced environmental modeling and tracking desertification and coastal erosion and climate shifts. So there's different professional tools available to collect GIS information and make it available to the government and to people, community, and to organization to make decision. The GVSIG is a powerful multilingual system in the Caribbean and in Latin America. So you can learn more about these things. And once you have this kind of information, you will be able to see it graphically presented on a map. And as community planners, you can make better decisions. And when a disaster is coming, you as an individual can go on the map and find the best way to protect your family as well and your community. So there's some of them that's already operational right now, GIS system. One is in Kenya, but they use this one for activism. I tell you, see how technology bad, can use it for activism when you're organizing a country. Kenya is a big, massive country. Whole millions and millions of children, of youth and people. See, so, Shahidi is their app that they're using for collecting their GIS information. This one is born in Kenya. It's the world leader in activist mapping. Communities report incident via SMS, which is text messages, even when there's no internet, you just go and record everything on your phone, same way. You go and take pictures, you go and, collect audio, and when you get to the internet, you upload the information, say, this community, this is taking place. Something is going on, something is wrong, we need to do something. But all this is collected on a GIS system where people all over Kenya can see what's going on in that particular location, any location, and they all can respond or they all can gather in a particular location to protest or to do community activism or whatever it may be. But Shahidi is the leader in Kenya. There's an open street map called Wikipedia of Map, which is the Wikipedia of Map. You know what I'm saying? It's called mapathons, where people in the village, they will do their own mapping. They will use their phone to create the mapping of the community. You can use the video on the phone. You can use taking the pictures on the phone. And again, you can also do audio recording to explain the streets, the area, the community, and that also uploaded onto the OpenStreetMap. And then people can access information about that community by going onto the map. And that's the key to the GIS system. It provides information so people who don't even know about the community can come in and know exactly where everything is. But again, this also have security implications. So we have to know that some information about your community have to remain secure from those who want to do harm to your community. We cannot be naive. Information is powerful, information is helpful, but information in the wrong hands can also be damaging. So we have to be careful as we move forward with GIS system. There's also a Cuba toolbox. It's the gold standard for field survey, and it works offline. It's 100% offline, where people are actually taking pictures, taking videos and audio, using their tablets, using their phone, and collecting data about a particular area. And it is uploaded so organizations can have it to make decisions, especially if there's going to be a drought, if there's a water shortage, if there's famine, especially when it comes to disaster. You want to have information readily so you know if you're going to help, what the people them need, so we can target the help to meet the needs of the people. GIS system, Geographic Information System, can help in this to help us prepare. So you say, these are most of the tools that are available right now. We mentioned them, the QGIS system, the Cuba toolkit, the Ushahidi, the Q fields, on and on and on. Two great one as well for Africa and the Caribbean is the Geo portal for Africa and the Geo portal for the Caribbean. These are free and open source and can be available to anyone who wants to take on the task. So remember, we Digital Sankofa is about remembering our roots. Where do we have all our great fruits and vegetables? Where are they located in your country, in your region? As we move forward, we need to reclaim the data to help us to plan, to preserve what we have, and to expand on what we have. And we also need to make sure we have ownership of this data. You cannot allow outsiders to come and just take the data from us and use it against us. Major corporations around the world will take this data that we have painstakingly collect, and they will monetize it against us. They'll be able to prepare products and services to undermine our local production because they can see what we can see. They can see our weaknesses and they can see our strength, and they can tailor-make their solution to come and undermine what we have built. That's why we have to be very careful in how we collect and we store and we secure and we share this data. It is very important. So the community cartographers, which are the community map makers, we can learn a lot from this information. Every community should have young people trained in GIS, which is mapping their own neighborhoods, documenting their own assets, and securing our own future. Every community should have young people or school system that are trained in GIS system. We should ensure that, you know what I mean? And we should also have what we call data sovereignty. We should own this data. This is our Kuji Chagulia, our self-determination. We need to claim this data and claim our future and ensure that multinational corporation, imperialists, predatory capitalists don't come in, take this data and use it against us and undermine local productivity and local production. Because in the past, they have neglected our internal industrialization, our internal development, while they focus on developing their own industries in their own countries. That's the colonial map. That's the colonial strategy. You know what I'm saying? They keep us divided, and they rule over us, and they extract our resources and use it to build up the colonial powers of Europe and America. So the GIS system is not just a technical tool, it is our digital nervous system for a sovereign nation. For African and Caribbean communities, land, history, and resources are deeply intertwined. We need to master GIS system. It is an act of self-determination. We need to control the collection and the security and the distribution of this information. We cannot allow it to fall into the hands of the wrong people, even though we want it to be available to our people. And we have to find a balance. We have to find what you call a Mahat Ubuntu. We need to find a balance between our security and our humanity, so we be able to protect ourselves and make better decisions. The GIS system is very vital to our development as a people. And I want to encourage us as African people to seriously consider ensuring that we have a GIS system in every community. As African people, we cannot afford not to be in charge of collecting our own data. So for me, technology is not just for technology's sake. It's not just to have a pretty gadget. It's not just to, shine with the latest phone or the latest tablet, but it's actually assist us in making better decisions. The GIS system is our digital Jele, as they would say, our digital Griot. It knows where everything is. But obviously, there are going to be some public and there are going to be some private information. But this information is going to be vital to any nation, to any country, to any community to make better decisions in that community. Thank you for listening to Pan-Afrikan Tech Decoded with Brother Dulani. Do share this information and do come back for more Pan-African Tech while we explore different areas of technology and how we can use it to better our African and Afro-Caribbean community. Our people across the African world, across the Pan-African world, can use technology to enhance our development and to enhance our integration and our unity as a people. So thank you once again. Walk good, and until next time, my people, walk good.